Everyone, welcome to Study Philia Education. My name is Supriya. I am a history honor student from Delhi University, and today we are going to learn about the Neolithic phase. Before learning about this phase, we are going to answer some questions throughout this lecture, that is, how agriculture began in different parts of the subcontinent, how the transition from hunting gathering to agriculture took place. We'll also learn about how Neolithic cultures developed in India in different regions at different time, and we'll learn about important sites such as Mehrgarh, and we'll learn about the importance of ash mounds, which are a specific feature of the South Indian Neolithic culture. So let us learn what is Neolithic. The term Neolithic was first used by Sir John Lubbock in his book titled Prehistoric Times. The word neo means new and the word lithic means stone, and unlike the Paleolithic, that is the old Stone Age people in the Neolithic had tools which were more refined and than the crude flake tools used by the Paleolithic period. So new stone means they had new type of tool technology to use in this period, but Neolithic is not only about tool technology. Neolithic was a very important stage of human history culture when humans were no longer dependent entirely on nature and they started to exploit nature to their own advantage. So for a very long period of times humans have been connected with nature, but now they didn't solely depended on nature. They started to manipulate nature for their own advantages as well. So what they did was, because they have been associated with nature, because they have been living in the forest for such a long time, now they could distinguish between certain plants and animals, and because of this differentiation they could easily manipulate them. So they started taming some animals. They kept them in pens and took responsibility of producing plant food by cultivating some useful varieties. So they were able to distinguish that this plant variety they could eat and they could produce, and this plant's variety, these are wild and they could not produce. Certainly, again they could distinguish between different animals like cow, goat. These animals they could tame, and other animals like lion and tiger, of course, they couldn't tame. What is an important thing to note here, that new types of tool technologies developed here, new types of subsistence strategies developed here, like humans started domesticated plants and animals. But this doesn't mean that the old modes of living like hunting and gathering they stopped. They continued, human continued with the hunting and gathering, but they developed these new types of subsistence strategies as well. So we'll learn about the climate first. How was the climate during that time? So several cultural changes began to occur around the beginning of Holocene in some parts of the world, and this Holocene led to the development of Neolithic cultures. We see during this period there is a major shift in climate. The ice age is ending and the warm climate began to set across in the world. It leads this warm climate, this increase in temperature led to changes in the nature of animal and plant populations as well as their distribution. Some of the few characteristics of the Neolithic culture is that Neolithic cultures were pastorals and farming cultures, but without the knowledge of metal implements. They used polished stone tools. The difference between their stone tools and the Paleolithic stone tools is that Neolithic tools are more polished. And in this period, humans started to cultivate plants and domesticate animals. They practiced selective breedings of plants and animals and had developed a good knowledge and understanding of the environment. Settlements became more permanent for a specific period of time. Why did this happen? Since they domesticated plants and animals, they had to settle at a place permanently or for a specific period of time to take care of those plants and animals. like they still used to move from one side to another, but they stayed at one site for a longer period of time, or in some sites they permanently settled there because the resources were easily available. Now let us come to the Neolithic Revolution. So the agro-pastoral cultural developments of the early Holocenes were labeled as Neolithic Revolution by V. Gordon Childe in 1941. The Neolithic and Chalcolithic cultures were treated as food-producing economies by him, and for him, Neolithic Revolution refers to the origin of agriculture, animal domestication, and a settled way of life. It indicates, this Neolithic revolution indicates a transformation of a society from a food gathering society who used to do hunting and gathering to a food producing economy who was now kind of in control. They were producing their own food. The idea of revolution pertaining to the Neolithic way of life signifies a major transformation in human cultural adaptation. The word Neolithic does not denote that in this period we used new tools, so this is a Neolithic period, but it also means that new modes of adaptations and ways of life were emerging. This term Neolithic revolution and Gordon Childe also explained why it's a revolution, because so many new things came up. Pottery emerged, houses emerged. How did they emerge? So when a human started domesticated plants and animals, it led them to produce a huge amount of grain and animal food. The food that they produced had to be stored somewhere, so pottery emerged, pottery making emerged. Now they had to settle in open areas away from the caves, and thus houses were built because animals, the storage, everything couldn't come under a single cave, so they had to move out in the open areas, and they can't live in open areas without a shelter, so the houses emerged. Houses were built, large villages developed, and permanent residences were built. Settlements were fenced since the cattle and sheep had to be protected. All these activities, gradually led to food surplus and craft specialization. Because of the food security, how did it lead to food surplus? Because now humans could produce food not easily but with more efficiency. They could produce food more efficiently, and this led to food security. So they didn't have to worry about if they didn't find a good hunt, if the hunting days are not if there aren't many animals to hunt around, they don't have to worry about food because now they are producing their own food. So these food security, and since more and more people could settle now because they had so much food, it led to food surplus. And so these cultural developments of this period are termed as Neolithic Revolution. Now let us learn about some debates regarding the transition from hunting gathering to agriculture. Different historians have different ideas. How did the society transition from hunting gathering to agriculture? So first, Gordon Childe, he said that farming began in the Fertile Crescent, that is the Southwest Asia, due to climatic changes. The oasis. The oasis here attracted animals, humans, and plants concentrations, and he gave importance to the climatic factors. Then Robert Braidwood challenged this notion of climatic changes and argued that this transition from hunting gathering to agriculture was a slow and gradual evolution of food production. Farming began in nuclear zones. Nuclear zones, we learned areas that had abundant animals and plant species. And so he was trying to say that the transition was not only because of climate change, it is a combination of factors such as changes in human nature as well as environmental circumstances. Then Louis Binford says that population plays a very important role in this transition, Agriculture was a response to a demographic tension. That means population was increasing, and that is why humans had to produce their own food. The population pressure in certain sedentary groups around 9000 BCE in the Near East led to an intensive exploitation of natural resources, thus making the transition from hunting gathering to agriculture. From these debates, we can know that there was never one single cause that led to this transition. Neolithic revolution, in fact, is a long drawn process aided by social and cultural factors but also environmental conditions. It is not a one time invention or an episode as imagined by a few people. There were various factors that led to this Neolithic revolution. Now let's study the Neolithic cultures in India. So in India, the Neolithic culture first appeared in the northwestern part of the country. In Kashmir, South India and Eastern India, the Neolithic culture appeared at a later stage. Some regions are there in India which did not witness Neolithic cultures at all, and the Mesolithic culture was directly succeeded by the Iron Age. Then, for example, those regions are Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The Neolithic cultures mark the end of Stone Age. Neolithic of India constitute an important phase. A Neolithic celt was found in India in 1842 by Le Mesurier in the Raichur district of Karnataka, and later John Lubbock in 1967 in the Brahmaputra valley of Upper Assam found a Neolithic culture. Extensive exploration and excavation have yielded immense amount of material about the Neolithic cultures in India. An important thing to note is that Neolithic cultures in India did not develop everywhere at the same time, nor did they end simultaneously. There were regional variations too. So let us study these Neolithic sites that are found in different parts of India. The Neolithic sites of the Indian subcontinents or South Asia are divided into various regional cultural groups. They are the northwestern region, the northern region, the Vindhyan Hills and the Ganga Valley, the mid-eastern region, central eastern region and the northeastern region, and finally the southern region. Before we learn about these regional sites individually, let us look at this map which shows some of these sites like Mehergarh, Burzahom in the north, Mehergarh in the west, Brahmagiri in the south. Now let us learn about the Neolithic cultures of the northwestern region. The northwestern region includes the area which are now Pakistan and Afghanistan. This region has evidence of early domestication of wheat, barley and animals. Aegilops tauchi, one of the ancestral species of wheat, had its natural habitat in this region. Thus, the practice of cultivation might have emerged in this region independently. The caves in the northern Afghanistan have evidence of Mesolithic hunter-gatherers exploiting wild sheep, cattle, and goat. Wheat cultivation began in Central Asia and its adjoining regions. The Kutchi Plains are also located between the dry mountains and the Indus Plains. The important Neolithic sites of this region are the Mehergarh in Kutchi Plains, the Kili Gul Muhammad in the Quetta Valley, the Rana Gundai in the Lorailai Valley, and the Anjira in the Surab Valley. All these Neolithic sites are in Pakistan. Other important sites are the Gunlan Rahman Deri, the Tarakai Kila, and the Sarai Khola. The most important site from this region is Mehergarh. Mehergarh, the site has three cultural phases which is divided into period 1, period 2 and period 3. Mehergarh is located on the bank of river Bolan and it is an important site located in the Kutchi Plains. This site covers over 200 hectares and this site has given evidence of pre-ceramic Neolithic to the Harappan culture. इसका मतलब है मेहरगढ़ में नियोलिथिक कल्चर को 3 हिस्सों में डिवाइड किया था, पीरियड 1, पीरियड 2 और पीरियड 3. सो पीरियड 1 इधर पॉटरी नहीं मिलती है, वी डोंट सी द यूज ऑफ पॉटरी हियर, सो इट इज़ नोन एज अ प्री पॉटरी नियोलिथिक कल्चर. Semi-nomadic pastoral groups began to settle at this place at this time. Seeds of plum, dates, jujube are found here. Also, we see that they cultivated 6-row barley, wheat and domesticated sheep, goat and cattle. उनके घर कैसे होते थे? तो दे बिल्ड हाउसेस विद मड एंड दे बरीड देयर डेड बिटवीन द हाउसेस, in between 2 houses. Goat's bone have been found near the bodies in the burial. ये लोग ornaments भी यूज़ करते थे, and the ornaments were made up of seashells, limestones, turquoise beads, lapis lazuli. Houses appear like a storage compartment, and perhaps these houses were used for storing grains. Now let us come to the second period. Period 2 at Mehergarh dates from 6500 BCE to 4500 BCE. We see evidence of cultivation of cottons and grapes. The period has evidence of pottery. So the first period, पहले period में we don't see the use of pottery, but in period 2 we see the use of pottery. Terracotta figurines are observed. More frequency of ornament was noticed among the women. Evidence of long evidence of long distance trade is noticed as revealed by the use of lapis lazuli. So when we see lapis lazuli from a site, we know that the site engaged in long distance trade. Houses increased in size and ivory working is also evidenced. Now let us come to period 3. So the period 3, we see wheel made pottery now with paintings depicting humans and floral designs. More burials were noticed in this period, and archaeologists say that when we see more burials in a period, we mean that the population increased during that time. That is why we see more burials. We also see traces of copper working in this period. The village was abandoned after the rise of mature phase of Indus civilization. Why is this site so important? Because from period 1 to 3, this site Mehergarh provide the earliest evidence of transition from hunting gathering to animal domestications. Barley seems to have been the most important crop. Wheat has also been found, but the important thing to know here that the decreasing size of cattle and sheep bones through the level, like from period 1 to period 3, the bones of cattle and sheep have been decreasing, and this indicates that their domestication was under the way, like these cattle and these sheep were being domesticated. By the end of period 1, bones of wild animals decreased, while bones of domesticated cattle, sheep, and goats increased. Cattle predominate. In the succeeding period 3, sheep and goat bones predominate. So, this site of Mehergarh is important because it has given the earliest and most comprehensive evidence of domestication of cattle, sheep, goat, wheat, and barley, the first combined evidence of its kind in the world. Now let us learn about the Neolithic cultures of the northern region, that is Kashmir. The Neolithic cultures of Kashmir region was contemporary with the Harappan civilization. Excavations at Burzahom, Gufkral, Khasipur have revealed significant materials belonging to the Neolithic culture. So Burzahom, it was an important Neolithic site of this culture. 2 cultural periods have been identified at this site. In the Neolithic period, people lived in pit houses in order to escape from extreme cold weather of the Kashmir region. They used tools such as stone axes, chisels, pounders, etc. They used scrapers for working on animal skin. Awls were used for stitching the skin into the clothes to adjust the cold weather. Harpoons, needles, and arrowheads made of bones were used. A stone depicting engraved image of a hunting scene, the sun and a dog, has been found from this site. These people were involved in hunting, fishing, and also limited agriculture. Evidence of grain storage has been found. Seeds of wheat, common pea, and lentils have been recovered from the excavations. Now let us come to Gufkral. Gufkral, the site of Gufkral has evidence of three cultural phases. Settlement here started in 3000 BC, around 3000 BCE, and we see evidence of pit dwellings have been found here. Bones of sheep, goat, deer, ibex, wolf suggest their dependence on pastoralism and hunting. Neolithic cultures of Kashmir is also considered to have had connection with the East Asian Neolithic cultures of the Yang Shao phase. Some distinctive characteristics such as pit dwellings, use of harvesters, bone tools made on antlers, and dog burials have been found in these Neolithic sites. These are the pit dwellings or the homes of the people who lived in these regions. We see a smoke hole, a ladder, a main chamber, and a roof support. These types of houses were made to protect themselves from the extreme cold weather in the Kashmir region. Now let us come to the Neolithic culture of the Vindhyan Hills, the Belan, and the Ganga River Valley. Belan River Valley witnessed one of the earliest Neolithic occupations in India. The river Belan flows at the northern edge of Vindhyan and the Kaimur Hills. The river is a tributary of the river Ton, which joins the Ganga near Prayagraj, UP. Transition from food gathering to food production is noticed in this region. The sites of Chopani Mando, Koldiva, Lehura Deva, and Mahagara in the Ganga Valley are the important excavated sites of this region. These sites give evidence of wattle and daub houses. So the wattle and daub houses means that a wooden strip is used and the wooden strip is covered with the wet soil material, which include clay, soil, and everything, and the wooden strip, then the wet soil material is used to make the houses. So these are the wattle and daub houses. We see also evidence of microlithic tools, querns, underfired handmade ceramics. The principal ware is corded ware or cord impressed ware, which includes bowls and storage jars. People were engaged in farming as well as animal husbandry. Evidence of rice cultivation from the Neolithic sites of central India is mired with controversy because some scholars believe that the evidence from the Koldiva puts it at par with China in terms of chronology, and others believe that the dates need to be re-examined. The debate here is that some scholars argue that rice cultivation may have traveled from China, South China to Central India, while other scholars say that Central India was an independent center of rice cultivation. Now let us learn about the Neolithic cultures of the mid-eastern Ganga Valley region. The site of Chiran, located on the banks of river Ganga in the Saran district, has produced evidence of mud floors, pottery, microliths, polished stone tools, axes, and terracotta human figurines. Senuar has produced evidence of cultivated rice, barley. The Neolithic phase The Neolithic sites of this region have also shown the evidence for transition to the Chalcolithic as revealed by the sites such as Sohagura, Chiran, Chechar, and Senuar. The introduction of copper seems to have occurred around the second half of the 3rd millennium BCE in this region. Now let us study about the Neolithic cultures of the Central Eastern India. The Neolithic sites are found at many places in the region of West Bengal and Odisha. Birbhanpur is an important Neolithic site of this region. These sculptures show similarity with the Neolithic complexes of East and Southeast Asia. Mace head pounders, coarse redware, cord impressed pottery, floors, post holes, and bowls have been found here. At Pandu Rajar Dhibi, Neolithic culture had emerged from the Mesolithic context. The Neolithic culture of the northeastern India. Some sites are Markadola, Daujali, Harding, and Saraturu are the Neolithic sites of Assam region. Shouldered cells, ground axes of round type, and cord impressed and paddle impressed pottery with quartz inclusions are the common finds. In the northeastern India, the Neolithic cultures belongs to a slightly later period, and this region today has evidence for shifting cultivation of yams and taro, building stone and wooden memorials for the dead, and the presence of Austroasiatic languages. This means that this culture shows cultural affinities with the Southeast Asia. Now let us learn about the Neolithic cultures of South India. These Neolithic cultures are mainly found in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Sangakulu, etc. In Tamil Nadu, the site of Payampalli has produced evidence of Neolithic culture. More than 200 Neolithic sites have been identified as part of the Neolithic complex of South India. Some of the early Neolithic sites have ash mounds. So what are ash mounds? So some early Neolithic sites, cow dung was periodically burnt for a long period of time. Since the cow dung was burnt repeatedly, the ash is vitrified and looks like volcanic ash, and it is now deposited in a mound-like structure. So these are known as ash mounds. The evidence of habitation in the form of houses and burials are also found around the ash mounds. They buried the dead people within the houses. So the Neolithic cultures of South India is the most extensive among the regional Neolithic traditions of India. Detailed investigations conducted at the ash mount site of Budihal in North Karnataka by Professor K. Padya has revealed that the ash mounds were functioning as a regular Neolithic pastoral settlement. But this was not always the case. Before the excavations, there were several interpretations which have been put forward regarding the ash deposit. This is a photo of excavations of ash mounds near Tamil Nadu. So, early workers based their interpretations on the basis of local legends which considered these ash mounds as cremation grounds for Rakshasas or demons of the Mahabharata. कुछ लोग ऐसे समझते हैं कि महाभारत के टाइम पे जिन भी राक्षसों को या जलाया गया था उनकी राख से ये एश माउंट्स बने हैं. Second view regarded them as geological deposits of Kankar formation or volcanic ash. Another set of view saw them as remains of Mas Sati. So, the war between the Vijayanagar and kingdom and the Delhi Sultanate, all those women who lost their husbands, they performed Mas Sati. And some people think that these ashes are the physical remain of that Sati. Now, another view regards them as deposit associated with industrial activity like iron smelting, brick making, pottery making, etc. It was Robert Bruce Foote who noticed the closeness of these ash mounds to the Neolithic settlements and called them Neolithic in character. F.R. Olchin's excavation at Utnur in Mehboob district in 1960s confirmed Robert Bruce Foote's conclusion. F.R. Olchin argued that the ash mounds represent several stages in the making. In each formation, the surface was leveled, stockades were made, cattle were penned, and cow dung was collected and burnt, leading to the formation of ash deposits. The dung was not accidentally burnt, as claimed by Foote, but it was intentionally burnt. This was part, according to Robert Foote, these ashes, This burning of the cow dung was a part of the Neolithic fire cult, which meant to promote the fertility of the cattle herds. Thank you.